Porter Wren is a newspaper columnist who describes himself as selling mayhem, scandal, murder, and doom to the people of New York. He's constantly chasing stories, arriving at crime scenes just after the danger has passed, searching for that compelling angle that makes readers pick up the paper. With 3 deadlines a week, he's always hunting for good stories. One such story involves Demetrius, who jumped through a window while on fire, holding a baby named Vernon. In a heroic moment, Demetrius performed a flip before landing, sacrificing himself by landing on his back to save the baby from being crushed. Porter interviews witnesses and captures this touching story of sacrifice. Porter reflects on how the newspaper industry is changing. He used to believe his stories could make a difference, but now he just hopes they're enough to feed his family. He notes how 8 million kids with iPhones post videos on YouTube thinking they're actual reporters. His wife Lisa tells him he sounds old when he complains about this evolution. At home, Porter has a loving but complicated relationship with his wife Lisa, a surgeon, and their 2 children, Sally and Tommy. They have a housekeeper named Josephine. Porter's domestic life reveals the tension between his dangerous work chasing stories and his desire to protect his family from that world. At a corporate party, Porter meets Caroline Crowley, an intriguing woman who immediately captivates him. She recognizes him from his newspaper column photo, which she calls cheesy and notes his smug expression. They engage in witty banter about newspapers, with Caroline mentioning she likes the feel of paper and finds his writing well written in an old-timey, classic kind of way. Caroline reveals she's there with her boyfriend, Charlie, whose bank does business with the company that just bought Porter's newspaper, meaning they all work for Hobbs now. When Porter suspects she's leading somewhere with their conversation, Caroline boldly invites him to leave immediately and go to her apartment, just 15 blocks away, without Charlie. Their attraction is immediate and intense. Caroline shows Porter a police report about her husband, Simon Crowley's mysterious death. Simon was a famous filmmaker found dead in the rubble of a demolished building, surrounded by small pieces of jade. The police couldn't determine how he got inside the secured building or the cause of death due to the bulldozers and rats that had disturbed the scene. Caroline shares the story of how she met Simon in a bar. She was living a tired, pretty girl New York life with no money, having given up on Los Angeles and returned to New York. She was apartment sitting for rich people with no steady income, after being fired for refusing to date her lawyer boss. Simon approached her in the bar, and after amazing conversation about their childhoods, he proposed marriage within hours. The next day, Simon sent Caroline a package containing a flash drive with a video proposal and an engagement ring. In the video, Simon makes unconventional wedding vows, sharing disturbing stories from his past, including how he used to save cigarette butts from a beautiful model and use them in sexual fantasies. Despite the unsettling nature of his proposal, Caroline was moved by his honesty and vulnerability. They married secretly 3 days later. Caroline explains that for the first 6 months, they were surprisingly happy together. However, Simon had a dark side and was constantly testing Caroline. When he disappeared for 3 days, Caroline knew something was wrong, but didn't call police, knowing Simon would be angry. After it became clear something had happened, she contacted authorities. Porter initially refuses to help investigate Simon's death, explaining that he found a missing girl by accident and random luck, not through superior detective skills. However, Caroline's desperation and their growing attraction draw him deeper into her world. Their relationship quickly becomes sexual and intensely emotional. Meanwhile, Porter's boss, Mr. Hobbs, a powerful media mogul, summons Porter to his office. Hobbs reveals he knows about Porter's affair with Caroline and that Caroline has been sending him compromising videos. Hobbs threatens Porter's job, family, and home unless Porter helps retrieve the video. Hobbs demonstrates his power by threatening Lisa's medical career and their children's safety. Caroline reveals the truth about the video to Porter. It was part of a twisted game Simon devised where they would challenge each other to extreme acts. Simon challenged Caroline to have sex with someone most unexpected, while he would be with someone as they died. Caroline chose Hobbs, the billionaire media mogul, filming their encounter secretly. However, Simon never fulfilled his end of the bargain and kept the video from Caroline after becoming upset by what he saw. The relationship between Caroline and Porter deepens, despite its foundation in deception. Caroline admits she initially approached Porter to help find the video, but genuine feelings developed. Porter struggles with guilt over betraying his wife while being unable to resist Caroline's pull. The stakes escalate dramatically when Hobbs's men break into Porter's home, shooting his 3-year-old son Tommy and the babysitter Josephine during their search for the video. Though both survive, Porter is driven to desperate measures. He threatens Hobbs directly, promising to distribute the video worldwide if his family is harmed again. Porter's investigation leads him to Simon's father, Frank, who lives in a nursing home. Frank suffers from dementia but is cared for by Mrs. Norma Segal, who has been visiting twice weekly and billing Simon's estate for her services. Mrs. Segal reveals that Simon had given her a box of video card copies with instructions to mail them periodically and bill the firm, which explains how Hobbs has been receiving the videos posthumously. Porter obtains the final video card from Mrs. Segal and delivers it to Hobbs. The video shows Caroline's encounter with Hobbs, revealing intimate details about Hobbs's sexual dysfunction resulting from a violent attack in his youth. Hobbs gives Porter a key found in Caroline's apartment that they couldn't identify. The key leads Porter to a basement connecting 2 identical buildings, one where Simon died and another still standing. In the basement elevator of the standing building, Porter discovers Simon's final video, which reveals the truth about his death. The video shows Simon's final twisted game with Caroline. He trapped her in the elevator with a padlock around her ankle, demanding she tell him the horse story she had shared with Hobbs, the intimate details of her childhood sexual abuse by her stepfather, Ron. Simon had been drinking milk to help him swallow keys, threatening to send the elevator to the basement, where it would be unreachable, effectively killing Caroline. When Caroline refused to tell the story, Simon activated the elevator. In the struggle that followed, Simon fell and was crushed, while Caroline escaped. She used the padlock from her ankle to secure the basement door, hiding Simon's body. The jade pieces found with Simon's body came from a valuable horse sculpture Hobbs had given Caroline, which Simon had broken during their confrontation. Caroline's horse story reveals the horrific truth of her childhood. At age 9, she desperately wanted a horse and begged her stepfather Ron daily. He would slap her each time she asked. Eventually, Ron came to her room at night, promising to buy her a horse if she kept their encounters secret and let him do whatever he wanted. After a week of abuse, there was no horse on her birthday. When Caroline threatened to tell her mother, Ron promised the horse would come the next day. Instead, he gave her a cheap plastic toy horse, mocking her pain and betrayal. Porter confronts Caroline with the video evidence and a copy for himself, making it clear he has insurance against any future contact with his family. Caroline asks him to tell her the horse story one final time, and Porter does, showing he understands the depth of her trauma and the connection between her childhood abuse and her adult relationships with manipulative, powerful men. The story concludes with Porter reflecting on the destruction his involvement with Caroline has brought to his life. His wife Lisa never learns the full truth, but she understands something dark has entered their lives. She distances herself and the children from Porter, knowing whatever darkness now lives in him is better kept away from them. In a final scene, Porter finds himself watching Caroline from a distance in her new life, perhaps seeking closure or simply unable to fully let go. He reflects on what an old reporter told him on his first day. "It's all one story, kid. It's all one big story." Porter recognizes himself as the asshole that I am, acknowledging the wreckage he's caused while understanding that all these interconnected events, the newspaper industry's decline, his marriage's destruction, Caroline's tragic past, Simon's death, and his own moral collapse, are all part of one larger narrative about power, abuse, and the prices people pay for their choices.